Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. So this is about Russia and President Vladimir Putin. He's being re-elected for another 6 years. I don't know how long he's been in power. I believe, wasn't he a prime minister and then he changed the law so that he could be president or something or other. And I don't know, is it 20 years now? Or I don't know what the term is. But the thing I'm interested in is the way the media and us as people, especially in the West, view things, or maybe misled to view things. Well, I know obviously, assuming that what we're shown on the media, and what I've never spoken to a Russian about what it's like to actually live in Russia, or I'd have to speak to a number of them to get an idea of what the freedoms or not freedoms are like. Obviously I know the difference between, it seems very difficult to get rid of Putin. So I don't know if that's because all the people just like him so much, or they're just too afraid not to vote for him. I'm not sure if I don't know. It depends what kind of, obviously I've seen films about, what was that film, the Stalin one, the Stasi, where they used to monitor and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know if it's like that or not. Would you be able to go to a voting poll, a booth in Russia, put your name and cast your vote for the opposition, and would they know or not? It all seems a bit Orwellian in the way, but obviously Orwell did get 1984, was it Animal Farm, from his understanding of Russia. That's my understanding of where he got the ideas from. So I don't know. The thing is, countries have ones they're friends with and not, and often we have these views, and I don't know if they're true or not, but so I don't know how that happens. But obviously it's better what we have, in the sense that if we don't like someone, we can get rid of them. We can go and protest, or usually they will fall on their own petard, their own sword, if that's the right way of saying it. But it's not that much better. Yeah, I know, because, we don't actually pick the people. We have a choice, and usually only two. The choice is usually only two. In the UK, your choice is between Keir Starmer of Labour or Rishi Sunak, if he's still there when the elections go in the third quarter, of the Conservative Party. Or in America, you have Donald Trump of the Republican Party, or you have Joe Biden of the Democrat Party. I know they have to put themselves forward, and there's some canvassing and all that kind of stuff. I don't actually know who actually does the picking. Is it the people of those areas, or is it the people that are part of the party? And therefore it's a bit similar to the UK system. It's done at a different time, and only once. But still, nevertheless, you don't have that much of a choice of who's going to lead you. And can you really get rid of them? Obviously there's laws that they can only go in. It was in America, they can only go for, is it 2 terms? In the UK, I'm not sure there is if there is a restriction to the amount. I don't think so, because Margaret Thatcher did 3, isn't it? And I think Tony Blair did he do 3 as well? So I don't know if there is a restriction to how many, but usually they get bored of it, or they get unpopular, and then they just decide to go, because they can probably make more money, doing speeches. So I don't know. This interests me, that idea. But what interests me to this media story from Sky News I'm going to put is how, when Donald Trump was suggesting that the election was rigged previously, people were saying, well, he's just saying it, and you need proof, and you need all this, that, and the other before you can start saying those things, before, the CNN or NBC can start saying those things. But when it comes to Russia, and also, I guess, probably China and the other people that the West has a problem with, it's very easy for journalists and people in general and politicians to sort of say, well, this election's unfair, or this is that and the other, without actually having any evidence. Yeah, I know there may be previous evidence, and I know there may be history, but when, there's David Cameron talking about it, when the presenter of Sky News are talking about this, and this whole story is like this election is fraudulent. There's no evidence provided, and I'm sure they've done no fact checking. I mean, I don't know. Usually when there's a bad election, there are these people, I don't know if Russia signs up to that, who say this has been a fair election or not. So what are they saying? Are they saying that the ballots were made up? Are they saying the people were forced to make those votes? What is the actual claim here? Or is it that what they're really saying is the people are sheep-like? Or just like the Western people, just like all of us as well. We're all sheep-like because, you know, we're all moan about the Conservatives and Tories. We're all moan about politicians now. They're all corrupt and doing all these things and, you know, always old white people. But we'll still keep on voting for them. So are we any less sheep-like than the people that we're saying, like, well, look at all the Russians? Because I assume we're not saying that Vladimir Putin, you know, put in false ballots. I assume we're not saying that he's forced people to do it. I assume we're saying that, well, the media are saying that people just voted for him because they felt they didn't have any choice or bought into that he's going to make, as one presenter, Russia great again. And if that's the case, well, that's no different than anywhere in the world, because we all just vote for whoever. You know, at the end of the day, I don't believe either of them, the parties in the UK, are any better than each other. They're just keeping the same system alive and making very small changes that are not helping us as a collective or individually or humanity. But if I have to be pushed to vote, because if you don't vote, then you don't have any choice in the matter, then I'll probably vote Labour. But so I'm just as sheep-like as any Russian who just goes to vote Putin. So what were we saying here? But the interesting thing is not only that, it's the fact that they can just say all this without any evidence, without any checking or finding out, and everyone will just believe it anyway. Interesting that. It says a lot about us as well.
Vladimir Putin has officially been declared Russian president again, winning his 5th term in power. But the EU says the election took place in what it called a highly restricted environment, exacerbated by Russia's illegal war of aggression against Ukraine. The EU also says it regrets the decision of Moscow authorities not to allow its observers to monitor the vote. President Putin was elected with 87% of the vote, 10 percentage points up on his shares 6 years ago. He said his victory was a sign of trust and hope in him by the Russian people. Our international correspondent Diana Magnay joins me now. And Diana, does this change anything in terms of Russia's place in the world and what's actually happening in Ukraine?
No, I think it just validates Vladimir Putin's sense of his leadership. And it proves to the Russian people that he has a large mandate to continue. And I think it says to any who would try and oppose him in that shrinking space in which they can try and oppose him in Russia, that they are very much on the outside and that they are only a tiny minority and would be just as well not within the country. But otherwise, this was the result that we expected, although the Kremlin has bumped up the numbers considerably. I mean, it's a sort of blockbuster win, in inverted commas, for Vladimir Putin. You said 10 percentage points up from a year ago. I think that's simply because he needs to be seen to have a very strong mandate to rule 2 years into a war which doesn't really look as though it's going anywhere. Anyway, he has been congratulated by the likes of Kim Jong-un and the North Korean leader. China has congratulated him, Venezuela, Bolivia. And of course, you have retribution and condemnation by the EU and by Western countries about the nature of this vote, that it was neither free nor fair. David Cameron, the Foreign Secretary, Lord Cameron, I'll just read out what he said. These Russian elections starkly underline the depth of repression under President Putin's regime, which seeks to silence any opposition to his illegal war. Putin removes his political opponents, controls the media, and then crowns himself the winner. This is not democracy. And if you remember, just a few days ago, the Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, said, nobody should criticize our democracy. Our democracy is the best in the world, as though democracy is just whatever the Kremlin allows it to be. But the fact of the matter is, the other 3 people on the ballot were essentially subservient, supported the president's campaign. Alexei Navalny died in prison a few weeks ago. The political opposition has been exiled or silenced or jailed. And there was no competition to Vladimir Putin, even if a lot of people did vote for him.
OK, Diana, thank you. Let's quickly take a look at some of the day's other news.
So there, Diana Magnay suggested, I don't know if she's got any evidence to back this up, but she suggested the Kremlin bumped up the figures. Now, I just want to put this out. Just because I'm talking about Russia doesn't mean I'm trying to endorse them or not endorsing them. I don't endorse any country that's starting illegal wars or repressing their people, taking their freedoms away or killing people just because they stand up or protest. I believe in, well, I don't think there's any government in the world that that I know of that is actually one I would want to endorse or put my name against, because I want a place where all human beings are treated equally and, well, all the things that I talk about in the Pursuit of Truth that are not happening in our life that could happen. But yeah, so I just want to put that out there just in case anyone sort of says, oh, you're a communist or you're a socialist or this, that and the other. No, I'm just talking about the facts of things. I don't care about tags and all that kind of stuff. What I mean is she's claiming that the Kremlin bumped up the figures. Is there evidence for that, or she's just saying it? Is it okay for her to just say the Kremlin bumped up the figures without actually providing any proof? Because we didn't like it when Donald Trump was doing the same thing. We said that was wrong of him to do that. You see, this is what I'm trying to show you, the difference, how if you say something against Russia or China or North Korea or Iran, then it's okay for you to say whatever you like without any kind of evidence or putting and I'm not trying to sort of, put it towards them, but I'm trying to just show that this is the double standard world we live in. Is trying to get us to look at this and say, okay, well, I mean, if you can provide evidence, then that's fine. Why not do that rather than just spurious claims? But the thing is, they don't have to provide evidence because no one's going to ever ask for that evidence. No one's going to, if you even question that, people will probably come up and say, oh, how dare you, how unpatriotic of you, why would they lie and all that kind of stuff. Well, I'm not suggesting they're lying, but where's the proof? It's easy to say, isn't it, without, this is my worry. And they're saying that the other three people, the opposition, were supporting Putin's campaign. I mean, I don't know, is that possible? I guess it is possible if you lived in a regime where everyone was scared of the little man. But I don't know, it just seems a bit unbelievable, but, I don't live there, so I don't know. It'd be interesting if there's any people who are genuinely Russian, if they could put their comments and tell me how it is in Russia today. The thing is, of course, if it is oppressive, then it'd be very difficult for them to put these comments because, well, I don't know, maybe you could use a VPN, or if you're outside of Russia. It's just, I don't know, it's just interests me how we live in this world where it's easy to just say things, but when someone else does it, oh no, that's very terrible. And I'm not trying to back Donald Trump either, but it just interested me, that aspect of it, and the fact that how we're saying a lot how bad Russia is, how Putin, that they've got no choice, and this and that, and I'm not backing him, but do we have it any better in the UK and the US? Where all you do is get choice between these two men or that two men who often believe in very similar things. Both have probably gone to the same school. Both probably very much similar, just very small variants of different things. One caring more about money, one caring more about people, but only a variation that's very, very like 1% difference. So I don't think we have it any better, but it's interesting how this is done on the media. Maybe that's the reason why they do it, just to make us feel that, oh, look how lucky you are to live like this, that you get to choose these two people, and if you don't like them after a few years, you can vote them out. Well, then they come back again, or some other person that's almost exactly the same comes instead. You're still living under these people, no matter who's in charge, and they're still not giving us all the freedoms that were intrinsically all of ours when we were all born. Take care, easy, God bless, and peace.